Welcome back to another episode of Singapore's Real Estate Explained, brought to you by the JNA Investments team. And today we have another new launch review
by the name called Penrith. This development has been one of the hottest launches people are anticipating. It's right in the middle of Margaret Drive area near to Queenstown, which is very popular. So down by Gold Land, we're going to stay tuned to see how this will pan out.
So I think this will be a very hot project that people are looking at, because generally every time a development is next to the MRT, it draws a certain crowd, or I would say most of the crowd. Even when the pricing is a little bit crazy, there are emotional buyers that just buy for own stay and they're okay to pay slightly higher. So last time we saw this was actually at
ORIE, which is a place that I bought a 4-bedder at, very popular place. But at the same time, not just that, besides the bio, we have your Queenstown area, which is its own natural draw demand. $1 million HDBs. Mature estate. So there's something that would definitely draw a natural crowd to this location.
Yep, so let's see how this does. So we don't have the full floor plans yet and we don't have indicative prices, but we'll just share a few based on the past developments in this area, how they actually perform, and we can roughly guess what Guoco and Hong Leong may actually launch at, because their floor plans have been consistently similar for the last two developments.
And if you find out more about supply demand analysis, as usual, we actually done a research about it. So send a QR code right below and we're more than happy to share with you.
Yeah, and if you're someone in the market that's looking for your next investment home and you just want to speak to any of us for your investment needs, you can also scan the WhatsApp QR code over here and we have someone reach out to you.
So before we start, I'd like to thank our clients who supported us thus far. We have 17.1k subscribers on YouTube. Thank you for subscribing and liking our channel. And we have hit 188 Google review, 5-star. And it's something that we are very, very thankful for and hope to continue to value add to all our audience and clients. And also we serve over 700 investment clients thus far, getting about 19.56% returns per annum after netting all the costs. And it's something we are very excited because we have always been trying to crack the code for investment.
Recently you had a hackathon.
Yes, investment hackathon. Set out 8 hours trying to figure out what's the best way to invest in property. And all which is finding day by day, night by night, so we can bring the best value for all our clients.
So let's dive right into the introduction for Penrith. So a short introduction on this whole project is actually by Guoco and Hong Leong. The most recent, actually is happening right now, right? The preview is actually at Springleaf. The number of people you'll see over there over the weekend is pretty crazy. You almost cannot hear yourself. There's even a sneak queue just to enter into a show unit.
Yep, and these two developers have been aggressively bidding for land. The last being Lentor Collection, fully sold out, now 98% sold out. So they're using the money they made from these projects to bump to Springleaf they bought already, and now going to other lands. You can see recently all the bidders are mainly these two developers.
So site area is about 9,500, not a particularly big plot of land. I think it's okay. District-wise is District 3 next to Queenstown MRT, about a 5 to 6 minutes walk. 99 years, 462 units. Expected TOP is going to be 2029. You're going to have 2 blocks of 40 stories. So again, it's a development like ORIE where the people that enter at the lower floors and the higher floors, the per square feet is going to be quite a big difference.
Yes. So for this land plot, it's actually in between Queenstown Primary School, which is very low rise, and your high rise Skyway at Dawson, one of the famous place for $1 million HDB. And facing opposite, you have a Queenstown Baptist Church, a Rainbow Center, which is also low rise, and all the a landed area where you have all the GCB located right at this Queenstown area.
So I think at this point, we don't have the site plan, but depending on how they actually position the stacks or the blocks, potentially, some of the units over here may get the landed view at the back. But again, there are also empty plots behind. So in the short term or in the longer term, if let's say the plot of land is zone residential, as you'll see in the next slide, you actually see all these circle plots. For now, they're actually green plots. But upcoming, it's already been zone residential, so it's a sooner or later thing that your view behind may be blocked, even if you get to face like the landed side.
Yes, so it depends on the land size you see over here. If the land size is very big like this, likelihood they cut out in smaller plots in order to sell for condo. But for something that's really next to your the nursing home, right over here, you potentially have a view that will be a bigger land plot that will be launching. Maybe not now, maybe not in the next 3 years. It could be 5 to 10 years, but for now, there's no news yet. So one saving grace for this project is because it's 4.2 plot ratio, it's pretty high. You see in this diagram over here, more than 2.8 is high floor, more than 36 stories. That's why you can build 40 stories. So using this data, you can sort of expect that the starting launch price can seem cheap, maybe 2,004, 2,500, you never know, per square feet. And when you go upwards, because it's 40th floor, it will end up being close to even 3,031 per square feet. Like what happened for ORIE.
Yeah, so I think for this kind of developments, usually you need to get a very good ballot number to get a decent unit because there aren't many stacks. There's only 2 blocks and it's very, very high in terms of the floor level. So meaning if you don't get VIP or you're going on like a second day post the priority bookings, right? Yes, they may block out some of the lower floor units, but after that, the VIP will actually, it depends on the floor jump, but based on River Green, they'll usually take the lower to mid floor ones. And then the next day, that's when people start entering at the higher per square feet.
Yep. So nowadays, not just about your money, whether you can buy a property is very luck. And that's something that we do, unfortunately, say is the current market.
Okay, so based on landed, you'll see that for Guaco, they actually got this about 4.95% higher. So not too bad. They didn't really overpay for this land also.
Yes. Okay. And in terms of land bid technical conditions, you need to do an early childhood development center. Very normal for nowadays. Developer, every single plot comes with a certain condition. Okay, and also they have to do a well landscaped sky terrace and roof garden to be integrated part of this entire development.
Yeah, so I think the sky terrace will be pretty similar to what we see at Skyview because it's 40 stories. So you get a pretty good view from the top of the entire building also.
Yes. And there's a break-even price. Okay, one good thing they got is they got a land bid pretty decent, about 2,026 per square break-even. You add 7%, it's 2,168. Okay, so you look at profit margin, about 10%, it'll be 2,385 per square feet. You're looking at about 15%, it's about 2,493, and 20% about 2,006. Yep. But understanding how Guaco land should be, it doesn't mean they buy the land bid low, means they'll launch it low, because there are cases when it's very popular. Case in point, Mayor mentioned, okay, the land bid was about 2,000, 1,009 per square feet, launch at 2,627. They can afford to launch higher if they know that this particular area will have very high demand.
I think what Guaco like to do now is that they make even though the per square feet may be slightly higher, but because they have quite efficient layouts.
Yes.
So it becomes that the quantum will be very acceptable even though the per square feet is high. Yes, they may be starting from like maybe a 2.6, but I don't think average they would transact at 2.6. Maybe a 2.7
to 2.8 per square feet. Yeah. Okay. And within 1 km, there's Queenstown Primary, just right next to you. Just less than 1 minute walk across. And within 1 to 2 km, with Alexander, Gan Eng Seng, and Newtown Primary. So these are all the schools in this area.
The next thing you want to compare is, I think this year alone, RCR, there hasn't been many launches. The previous two, it's ORIE, which is early this year, and then Lindenwoods that recently just happened.
Yes.
So we'll be looking at these two, how their 2, 3, 4 betas are being priced at, and how if Penrith do launch around the 2.7 price range, how are they going to be comparing?
Yep. So in terms of this new launch, as mentioned by Grace, Lindenwoods at ORIE, one is at Science Park, one is at Toa Payoh. So fun fact, Lindenwoods is actually non-area harmonized, means they include aircon latch as part of the GFA. Meanwhile, for the ORIE, it's area harmonized, means they don't include aircon latch. And one is at D5, one is at D12. Number of units 343. This is, I would say, more similar to Margaret Drive plot with Penrith. ORIE is our 777. Okay, very lucky number. Both are condo and TOP about the same time as Penrith. So I would say these are very good comparables which can take a look at. Because by looking at how this launches, we can also start predict what is the developer potential launch price. And when it launches a certain PSL, will it be competitive as compared to these two?
Yeah. Okay, so if you look at the lowest average as well as the highest for 2-beta, these include actually both the 2-bed 1-bath and the 2-bed 2-bath.
Yes.
So you can imagine, say the lowest one will be the 2-bed 1-bath and then the highest either a 2-bed 2-bath or a 2-bed plus study. So ORIE ranges from about 1.48 to about 2.1 with average being about 1.8. Lindenwoods was also close to about 1.4 all the way to 2.379, average being around 1.9. So for Penrith, if you were to take the Guaco, I think like Lentor mentioned and Springleaf, Springleaf copied. I wasn't going to say copy, because same developer, right? They just took like Lentor Mansion's floor plan and then replicated for Springleaf, which their 2-bed 1-bath was about 521 square feet. So assuming you take a 2,700 per square feet, your quantum wise will be about 1.4. And then for 2-bed 2-bath is 646 square feet wise, you'll be about 1.74 thereabout.
Yeah, so when compared to Lindenwoods, to take note, the 2.3 million is actually a 2+ study, so a study area. So you really look at the 2-bed 2-bath in general, it's close to 2 to 2.1. If you launch it at this kind of prices, I would presume they are really trying to, I would say, set a low benchmark for the RCR, and people will naturally step up. But take note, this is likely the middle floor. The high floor may hit our 3.1 to 3.2, like what happened for ORIE.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's something to take note.
So if they do launch 646 square feet, right, with the quantum at 1.7 for 2 bed, 2 bath, I think this will be a price point in the market that people are quite acceptable for the area next to MRT, especially in RCR.
So if they launch this like ORIE, where they're starting from a 24xx per square feet, they're 1.5x, this is something you're predicting may not be true, maybe higher, maybe actually higher. The price itself will run up all the way to here and will draw the natural crowd. And
I think
that's what
27
they're
is
going
being
for.
quite optimistic that the developer don't jump, because Guoco,
Yes.
for them, they don't seem like the developer that would want to hold on to units for very long. You'll see that their projects, usually they price it in a way that, okay, they know that the units will kind of move on.
Correct.
Okay, so we take a look at their 3-bedder. ORIE 3-bedder cheapest was 2.09 for the compact one, all the way up to 3 million for their bigger floor plate, with 2.6 being the average. Lindenwood's cheapest was 2.352. Highest was 3.4 for the bigger one, with average being 2.8.
Yep. So one to take note is for Penrith, it's the 3-bed 2-bath, I would say 818 square feet, being the compact layout 2.2 million.
Yep.
It'll be very close to the ORIE and Lindenwood kind of prices, where ORIE is actually a compact layout, very small. And if they were similar something like this, I would say this unit will move. Okay, even in 2007. Meanwhile, if you talk about the 3-bedroom plus flexi 904 square feet, about 2.44 million, it will be actually hovering very close to the average prices. So if they reprice it that way, I presume, because based on the new launch average, it will start to move. But do take note, because Lindenwood, they have the bigger layout type for the 3-bedroom premium, is very huge. Let's say hit 2.8 to 3.4, but it's not a good comparable. Most of the, I would say, the 3-bed compact plus a storeroom, you'll be hovering around the 2.5 to 2.6 million range, which Penrith potentially may try to copy in order to move the units.
Okay, so the next one we'll look at is the 4-bedder. So ORIE 4-bedder was about 2.92 all the way to about 3.6, average being about 3.27. Lindenwood's cheapest, Lindenwood's layout was really big. So the cheapest one is really 3.6 all the way to 4.28, with the average being 3.8. But actually the 4-bedders also move in this area, despite the price point, which we were quite taken aback.
Yes, because we went to analyze again and found out that most of the people buying that potentially are the PR Chinese. Looking at the places near Science Park, near to the NUH medical school. And these are places where people like huge floor plates. So they actually play outright for capital land, and they managed to really snap up all the units, interestingly. And Penrith, they launched as something more, I'll say, towards the mass market at 1227, 3.2 million. It hovering actually in between the ORIE and the Lindenwood's kind, which I presume they will slightly lean more towards the ORIE kind of launch price in order to move, because characteristic, so in Lindenwood, this is a 40-story, very similar to ORIE.
Okay, so next one we look at, now that we've seen the new launch comparison with this year's one, we also want to see what are the nearby surrounding resale, and how does Penrith, if it were to launch at 2007 or 2008, is going to be comparing with the resale.
Correct.
Okay, so some of the developments we'll look at are the newest one, which is Margaret Vale, Queen's Peak, Commonwealth Towers, as well as Sterling Residences. With Margaret Vale being slightly further out, the closer one towards the MRT will be Commonwealth Towers, Queen's Peak, as well as Sterling.
Yeah, and the size of units, I would say, are very similar. 700, 800, okay? And Margaret is a 300. So I would say mid-size development. The only one that stands out is Sterling, which is 1,259 units. All right. So in the PSF-wise, they're actually pretty similar right now, in the sense that most of them are actually non-area, actually all of them are non-area harmonized. Now they're ranging about 2,189 per square feet in this Queen's Peak, all the way to your Sterling Residence, which is going at about 2,387 per square feet.
Which is close to 2.4.
Yeah, 2.4. So if you were to add area harmonization in and launch about 2.526 or even 2.27 minus 1.07%, likelihood you're looking at about 2005, which is very close to the resale PSF.
Yeah, that's why we say 2007 is like being optimistic that developer will launch at 2007.
Yes.
Or for that being the average lah.
Correct.
So for the last 6 months, this is the lowest average and highest for the resale 2-bedders. So you can see the age gap is about 10 years, 9 years, 8 years, and 7 years. So it was within a very short time period where they pop up. It's like a Lentor kind of situation back then. Yeah. So you can see average wise for the 2-bedders are between 1.5 to about 1.7 to close to even 1.8.
And it really depends within the development. They say a 2-bed 1-bath or 2-bed 2-bath. If like Queen's Peak, there's 2-bed 1-bath, you get 1.35. Okay, so and then all the way up to the 2-bed 2-bath, we're going 1.75. Margaret View also 2-bed 1-bath 1.5. They're about all the way to 1.788. But in short, if you really look at even Sterling, also 2-bed 1-bath 1.36. If you look at the 2-bed 2-bath onwards, you'll be 1.65 million and up, which are looking at today's market up to your 1.95 million for something newer like Sterling residences.
So if you have to look at the layout wise, these are all 2-bed 2-bath recently transacted. You'll see Commonwealth Towers hit 1.78, Queen's Peak about 1.635, Sterling about 1.7, and Margaret View about 1.58. So knowing that Sterling has really hit about 1.7 plus, Commonwealth Towers hitting about 1.78, if Penrith do launch 646 post-harmonized, let's say they even manage to do like a site enclosable kitchen, I'm not sure how they're going to do it, at 1.7-ish million to 1.8, why it will be acceptable, because I think the resales have already hit this price point here already. So it's like a price point that people that are looking at Queenstown, it's accepting.
Yes, and especially if you do enclosable kitchen, they'll definitely outbeat like Queen's Peak and Margaret View, which is open concept, and even Commonwealth Tower. That's why Sterling Residence was one of the popular 2-bedder that make a decent amount of profit, is all because of the enclosed kitchen you see right here.
Yeah, it's like smaller at 689. But the effective space you compare to Queen's Peak, even though Queen's Peak is 775, kitchen is open. One of the bedrooms can only fit a single size bed. But for Sterling, it's like even though my size on paper it's small, but my effective space it is there. So I think today's market, when people look at spaces rather than the size, a lot of them are looking at the effectiveness of your space.
Not just about PSF and quantum, but also what is a usable space.
Yeah.
Next up, let's take a look at a 3-bedder. Okay, for the last 6 months, Commonwealth Tower, 10-year age gap, ranging the compact layout at 2.05 all the way to the premium at 2.5. Queen's Peak compares at 1.8 all the way to 2.35. Margaret View about 2.05 all the way up to 2.25. Okay, Sterling Residence about 2.2 up to 2.7 for the premium layout. So it depends on the layout type we'll compare in a while. Okay, and if you were to launch around this range, I would say it's really close to the resale price.
Okay, so for the layout wise, you'll see Commonwealth Towers latest 2.18, Queen's Peak to 1.88, Sterling Residence about 2.2, and Margaret View about 2.15. So the same thing for Queen's Peak. I think the problem with it is that 2 of the common bedrooms, you're only able to fit like a single size bed. And yes, you get a very unique balcony, but you can't really do anything with it. If it's like squarish or what, maybe you can still throw your dining outside. Yeah, I think it would make zip tracking this area a bit challenging.
Yes, and sometimes you must think, PSF or quantum may seem cheap, but there's also a reason behind. Especially in this area, if you're a family, this kind of layout type really does affect the visibility, and that's why there is a discount that's factoring in it. So some people say, hey, jump in 1.8, seems cheap, 1.9, or even 2 million, when the rest are going 2.2. It doesn't always factor into the price, but you need to take into account all this kind of analysis, along the fact that the living room, I would say, slightly more equivalent, more tight as compared to the others, along with a kitchen that is, I would say, decent size, but what we're looking for is at least a 6-seater dining area.
So I one thing to also note that the kitchen for Queen's Peak have no windows. So it's a downside also, because 3-bedders usually they would appreciate a window in the kitchen at least.
Yes. Then in comparable, a 3-bed 2-bath, 818 square feet. If Penrith were to copy what Lanton mentioned done, like enclosed kitchen with a kitchen window and done it well at 2.2 million, I would say it's a reasonable price. But of course, there's always walkway price of how far we can go as compared to the resale.
Okay, so 3-bed, 3-bath wise, you'll see Queen's Peak, it's about 2.35. Again, it's more of like a slightly open concept kitchen. Sterling Residences, you'll see their bigger 3-bedders is at 2.7. Commonwealth Towers is about 2.5. So for Penrith is 3-bed, 3-bath following Springleaf. If they do it at a 904 with the flexi room, the quantum wise will be about 2.44. Again, pretty close to what the resale here is transacting at, for a difference of like 7 to 9 years.
Yeah, in fact, one more thing to take note. Same thing as some Queen's Peak, bedrooms are very small, so that's why there is a discount for it. So if you add in an actual layout of close to 2.5, even an open concept kitchen, which is not the most ideal.
You see how big the aircon latch is also.
Yes, so go on with it. That's why developer now no longer build as big as last time, because now area harmonization, they can no longer build something like this, and they want to definitely use more usable space in the 904 square feet unit.
Yeah, I think the most ideal layout here maybe is Sterling, because at Commonwealth Towers there's also a very weird like balcony that extends out to like the master bath side.
Yes.
And then there's a very long entrance into it. So these are like
wasted space.
Yeah, like wasted spaces.
Yeah, so if I think sometimes 904 may be even more efficient than the older units with a bigger square feet.
Okay, so moving on, we look at the 4 beta. 4 beta size, we'll look at the last 1 year because there is not many transactions over here. Reason being, I think 4 betas, they are quite hard to come by even in the resale market, right?
Yes.
Even though when we have buyers wanting to buy a 4 beta, there may not be sellers looking to exit a 4 beta because 4 beta wise, normally fit the need of a Singaporean family for quite some time. Okay, so for last 1 year, you'll see Commonwealth Towers, lowest, average and highest is the same because there's only one transaction. Correct. Queen's Peak also, lowest, highest, average is the same. So actually, for all of them, in the last 1 year, there has only been one transaction for the 4 betas. So for the 4 betas, we'll be looking at the last 1 year of transaction instead of 6 months because there aren't many transactions for 4 betas. Reason being, yes, there are people that want to buy, but there are not many sellers that are looking to offload their 4 betas because it generally sells a Singaporean family for quite some time before they have to maybe move to a landed or maybe downgrade to a smaller unit also.
Yes, that's why you can see for Commonwealth Tower, lowest, average, highest, only one transaction,
Queen's Peak
2.96 million. Queen's Peak, 3.27 million. And only Margaret View, you have here two range. One is the lowest at 2.6, then the highest 2.608. Not much difference, but maybe 2 transactions. And Sterling is about 3.325 out of 3.55 depending on the floor level. So lower floor likely about 3.2. You can see the drastic difference about 200k because of floor difference.
Okay, right. So looking at 4 betas wise, you'll see Penrith, if they're to be 1227, it's going to be about 3.3 million. How it's going to be comparing with the resale, Commonwealth Towers will be about 2.96. Queen's Peak is about 3.27. Sterling was about 3.388 and Margaret Drive. Margaret View, it's about 2.6.
So why Margaret View? You can see there's a sudden drop of 2.6 million. It's because one of the bedrooms is actually pretty small. If you only fit a single size bed, it's something that we need to take note. Especially a 4 beta. It's not really an actual 4 beta. One very iconic example is actually next to ORIE, you have this called Gem Residences. They call it a 5 beta, but 2 of the bedrooms are very small. You can barely fit a single size bed, you can't do anything. So in the resale market, people don't really willing to pay a high premium for it. In fact, it's one of the units that very, very hard to move because of such layout type. So you can lay out, especially in the RCI region, popular area like Toa Payoh, Margaret area, Queenstown area, people are very particular about this. So you must be very wary, not just buy because something is cheap. Okay? On the other hand, if you look at Commonwealth Tower and Sterling Residences, great layout, especially this kind of, I would say, junior master layout with a landscape living area, dumbbell, perfect. And that's when people are going to pay a 3.388 million for the 4 betas in this area. All right. Okay. So if Penrith were to launch at 3.3, I would say it's hovering between the Queen's Peak and Sterling Residence kind of layout, quite decent. And of course, if 1227, unlikely you have a private lift like Queen's Peak, but if they will do it decently well, I would presume it was quite a fair kind of price in this area.
Yeah. Okay, so next one we'll look at is the profitability of these resale developments and also to track back a little bit when these developments first launched, what was their pricing as compared to the new launch market in the RCR region back then?
Correct. So you can see the highest record is 2002 square feet, 5 bedroom, 1 million for Queen's Peak. Okay, very rare you get this kind of layout type. Because in this area, there's very little 4 beta, not 5 beta is even rare. So people are willing to pay that kind of premium to make this kind of profit margin. Yeah. But in general, you can see most of the 3 beta is about 500k. Okay, the compact layout is about 400 plus k, and the smaller layout size, okay, about 775 square is about 400k even in Queen's Peak.
So these are all like exits upon last year or this year. But if you were to backtrack a little bit, because their TOP was actually in 2020 period. Yes. If you go to the next, like 2020, you will see that the 3-bed, 2-bath made about 100 plus to 200 plus K. 3-bed, 3-bath made about 136,000.
So the past few years, resale market going up, but always we don't look at just the resale market or how much it went up, but the actual TOP effect. So TOP effect in this case, interestingly, it didn't make as what we always presume, Queenstown, good location, go ahead and buy and make money. It doesn't work that way because you need to trace the entry price. And if you look back in the past, okay, back then in RCR region, okay, Queenstown can be a very popular location, but when they launched at 1681 per square feet, which is higher than the RCR average for new launches at 1536. So when we launch higher, not just in PSF, but also in Quantum, okay, about close to 80k, 60k higher, 70k higher for the 3 beta compact versus that of the RCI average. When you buy a high price, when you exit, it doesn't mean that you're able to fetch an even higher price. Yeah, so if you look back also at the 3-bed, 3-bath, PSF wise is 1619 compared to the 3-bed, 3-bath for 1498. It's about 1498. for rest of the central region for new launch. On the hand, similarly, okay, interestingly, for RCR region back then, for the 3 beta premium, I would say it's actually pretty close for the Queen's Peak area. Okay, but once again, once the PSF is high, we also factor that in. You may not get the kind of returns you are looking for, especially when you're exiting and entering at a high and expecting to exit even higher.
Yeah, I think also because of Queen's Peak kind of layout, right? They have this weird balcony and all their common rooms cannot fit a single room. So that may have posed a problem when it came to their exit also.
Yes, correct. And next up, let's take a look at Comparative Tower. Okay, similar in the past few years, they hold for 8 years. The highest returns is the 3 beta of 843k, combat level also 600 plus k, okay, in general. And even the 2 beta 689, you hold from start to the end, make about 549k, which is quite decent. You look at this kind of returns, but take note, some of them actually bought back in 2017, in 2014 even, a long time back. So the returns you average out in the past 11 years actually not a lot. Okay, especially you see some 4 years or 3 years, you flip 400-500k.
Yep.
Okay, so that's why we went back to the past, where we look at when they bought a 3-bed 2-bath on launch day, what is the returns? Okay.
So if you look at the 3-bed 2-bath, if you're to exit on TOP, the 3-bed 2-bath actually only made about 118,000.
So we always say, well, Queenstown, popular location, you should buy because of demand, but doesn't mean that you buy in this area when exit you can make this kind of
Most of the
money.
gains were when it was actually a resale rather than when it was actually a new development.
Correct, which is very interesting because you look back in the past for 3-bed 2-bath in Commonwealth Tower, 1611 versus the average is 1434 per square feet for RCI region for new launch. Meanwhile, same thing, Commonwealth Tower was going 1.456 when the new launch average for RCI is 1.346. Yeah, so it doesn't mean that high demand area means you'll make a lot of money. The key thing is always enter the right entry price.
Yep. Okay, if you look at the 3-bed 3-bath, you would see that back then when RCR was about 1,400, Commonwealth Towers launched their 3-bed 3-bath at about 1,600 per square feet.
Yes.
Quantum-wise, they were almost 200k above whatever like their competitors in other areas in Singapore were actually transacting it.
Yes, correct. So case in point, if you look back in the past, at 2014, you buy areas that is really in a worse off location, potentially you buy 200k cheaper, you can actually make more than a very popular location like Commonwealth and also Queenstown. So there's something that we have to really open our eyes, take a look in the entire inventory list. Don't just go to the hype and buy places like this that's over high demand. And at the end of the day, when you come to exit, you may not make as much as something that is not as popular elsewhere.
Yep. Okay, so the next one I'll look at is Margaret Vale. Margaret Vale, you'll see that the highest profitability is about 500 plus K for the 1184 square feet. Their smaller ones, about 900 plus square feet, would have fit about 3 to about 400 K from the 2020 to 2024 period. To look at other options in the market back then, you could have probably entered with the same price here. You may have entered into, let's say, OCR, let's say at Treasures. They may have made more than the 400. So it was a fair profit, I would say. But also because during this period, actually the whole market, a lot of the developments did well.
Yes, correct. And one more thing to take note is you can go out bought a 5-beta in a Treasure mentioned and make 900 plus K, it's almost double. And we look at the TOP effect of this Margaret Drive. Okay, for 3-bed 2-bath, you bought one back then. The combat layout is about 298k. Okay, the premium layout also about 263k. Same problem they face as Queen's Peak. The bedroom size is a little too small. There will be a single size bed for some. So in terms of resaleability, it's not as popular as compared to the Sterling Residence and Commonwealth Tower.
Yeah, and if you're to look at Margaret Drive pricing when they first launched compared to RCR, you'll see that when RCR was about 1,689, Margaretville was slightly higher at 1,008. In terms of quantum, when RCR 3 betas were at 1.55, they actually sold at about 1.7, so slightly higher by about 150,000.
Yep, correct. And also, if you look at the highest profitability
For Sterling.
Okay, the returns is crazy, 1.2 million. Wow, this is some even higher than some of the landed that transact at discount prices. Okay, 4 beta, very popular. Okay, hit at least a 1 million up, 900 plus K. Okay, followed by 3 beta, also 900K. Okay, even the compact layout for some are even going at 763K. So this is one of the top performer in this Queenstown area. So we will always use this example and say, hey, since Sterling make money, you should go and buy Penrith. But it's not true because you can see other track record of Queenstown area don't get this kind of returns, it's really back to what is the entry price.
Yes. So you look at the TOP year profitability, 3-bed 2-bath made about 3 to 400 plus K. Actually, similarly, 3-bed 3-bath also made like similar returns. So it doesn't mean that always buying big will 100% make more. Sometimes the gains for like the smaller unit type and bigger unit type may be similar.
Yes, and one thing to note is actually linked to secret lies in the floor plan. If you look at the difference in size and the premium you pay, a way that sometimes the compact layout may actually make more than the premium layout, right? So rationale why they actually outperform the market is because for senior residents back then, when the RCR was going at 689, it was actually very close at 1,007, although it's a much superior location. Meanwhile, the key thing is for the Quantum at 1.515, it's actually selling cheaper than the RCR market, although it's actually pretty good location here.
Yeah, and so, the layout was very good also.
Yes, so with that, everything comes in, they actually make a tremendous profit. Along with the 3-bed 3-bath, you can see the RCR, okay, it was 1,007, but they launched sterling at 1,662. Meanwhile, for the 3-bedder premium, they are going 1.752, about 80k cheaper than the RCR average. So instead of looking at just the location itself, the key thing over here is to understand the price. And must enter always at right entry price, not just FOMO and buy a unit there because it's just so popular.
So I think because of all these resales, right, a lot of them were actually priced above the average of the RCR counterparts.
Yes.
During that point on launch, Sterling Residence was the only one that somehow the developer decided to launch it slightly lower, which is very unlikely because generally speaking, you know, this is a location that is, I would say, considered more prime in terms of like RCR locations because it's a mature estate and the plots are next to MRT.
Correct. And potentially why they launched slightly lower is because of 1,000 plus units. So they know they have to sell. So these are some of the key factors to take a look. If we have lots of units clear, they launch it attractively, that is when we can get an opportunity.
Yeah. So I think with that, we've come to the end of this video. I think this is part 1. We are still waiting for the floor plans to come out and for the pricing to come out. So hopefully they do launch it at a rather low price to give buyers a chance because again, it's 40 stories, right? So they do have to start low also.
So unlike the past videos, okay, because we don't have the pricing and the floor plan right now, okay, so today we're only doing the bar approach. We'll leave to the second video, but let's find out what our thoughts about this and what is the walkaway price you should get for Penrith. Okay, so scan the QR code right below and consult any of our investment consultant, and we're more than happy to share with you. So with this, we come to the end of this video. My name is Christian.
This is Grace, and we'll see you the next time. Bye
bye.